and let's say you damage it during the packaging. Then what happens is that you look into Incoterms and say, okay, I'm selling it at CIP term, and I damaged it during packaging. This is my problem, because it's like your responsibility as the seller. So what you do, you either, well, provide the money back, or you provide a replacement, because it's your problem. Now, is that clear? Okay. Now, here's another scenario. Let's say you put this nice projector into the like box. You put the box. The shipping company put the box into the container, and there is a big storm in the Pacific, and the container vessel was shaking, and your nice projector basically broke inside the container. Then, even though as the seller you pre-arrange for the shipping, you look at this and say, okay, this is not my problem. Yes, you paid. Yes, sent you the projector, but it's not my problem because it's not up to me. I sent you the good product, and it was broken during the transportation. And you're absolutely right. In this case, if the buyer wants another projector, they have to buy a new one from you. Of course, that's the reason why insurance is in place, because in this case, it's actually not neither your problem nor the buyer's problem. It's the insurance problem. But of course, the buyer will get the reimbursement from the insurance company. But that's not the point. The point is that their point of transfer of responsibilities is different, depending on the term.
So the goods were damaged during transportation. There must be some physical evidence of that occurrence, correct?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
sure.
well, I can say, I am the seller, I am sure it was fine because we did the testing, but once you have the unload of the goods, it's not working.
Absolutely.
So how do you know which part was involved?
There is a third column called inspection. This is something that is not mandatory, if you will, but we strongly recommend, especially if we're talking about like expensive products or big transaction, a couple of containers, even one container. Please make sure you use the inspection companies. Their services aren't that expensive. I believe you brought up SGS as one example, right? Which one? Which one's that?
Veritas.
Veritas, yeah.
Or SGS.
Yeah. So those are large international inspection companies. They have locations in like all major ports, like next to all major ports and airports. It's not going to cost a lot to do the inspection.
SGS is in Ontario. They'll
Yeah.
inspect anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for the last exposure I had was helping the construction company to import, not to import, but to arrange that inspection. They were buying a bunch of stone products from China, and they want to make sure that the size is accurate. So they have to, because they were building like an apartment building or something. So they have to make sure that the size of the tiles, I believe, is the same, like all across the board.
SGS work with the standards.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And if there's an insurance case, then the evidence from the reputable inspection company will be, of course, very valuable. Yes, sorry.
So, for example, how do you know which inspection agency hired? For example, if I Google in Ontario, it's a inspection agency, so I imagine I will have like a list of a lot.
Yep.
And how do I know which one is good, or is there any agency or something specific which they rate? And my other question is, what is a reasonable price? So if I select 3 of them, for example, and the average of prices, the range
Yeah,
How do I know that
I can get back to the pricing because I don't remember, but they charge per day and, per day and per hour. It's not actually gonna cost you too much, again, depending on the location, because obviously, the inspectors in Canada are better paid than inspectors in India, right? Exactly. So that's where it varies, but I can send you, the average pricing of Chinese. We asked for, we requested quote from 3 or 4 Chinese inspection companies, both international and local. And the client ended up, to your question, the client ended up choosing the international company because of the brand and more trust. But depending on your budget, say if you were short of money, you could have asked for references and maybe deal with a less known agency, but save a couple of bucks. Sorry.
I am just curious, these kind of inspection companies, don't they have certification from other organizations? And then when you go to the website, you can see the different certifications that they have? No? It's not happening?
No. Normally, the customs brokers have the certification. The customs brokers, those are entities that help you to fill out the customs paperwork. Yeah, I'm not aware of any special certificates or permits for it. Yes?
The customer is always right. You make sure that they choose the inspection company that they will accept.
Good point. Good point.
Oh, that's a good
Good point.
But one more thing, my experience has been that if I use the same inspection company all the time, the factory will try to give the inspector some right to let go of things. So I had a pool of three, 4 inspection companies that are similarly done to me.
We can expand the topic of brands, but that's a good point too. I just don't want to get to the corruption thing. It's a long conversation. Sorry, yeah.
So if you're going from, let's say, Canadian manufacturer, and you're selling to another customer overseas,
Yep.
so what would be the most popular terms? Like you buy locally FCA, and then
Yeah.
you're selling CIF, and those million costs, like how do you pay?
You first of all find out the cost with the freight forwarder, and then you pay. That's basically
Okay, so the full is the one that takes care of the
shipping. Yeah.
Okay.
That specific example that you mentioned, the hard, the inspection that you hired was in the country of origin or the destination?
In our example, it was in the country of origin because there are different levels of inspection. There is first of all production inspection, where you can send somebody to the production facility and make sure that all the measurements are right or the weight and the composition of the product is right. There's a pre-shipment inspection. That's what we've done in that example with the construction company. They had pre-shipment inspection, and before, what it means that they went to the company's manufacturer's warehouse, measured some. They don't measure everything. They take samples, like X% of the shipment, and then they provided the report to the buyer. And then only after the buyer approved this report, the manufacturer loaded the goods to the container. But to your question, they may also be the post-shipment inspection. It's probably not that what they need to do for construction products, but for food products, of course, you want to make sure that the food products survive the transportation. So you may also do the post-shipment inspection.
Best of my knowledge, when it comes to the product features and the specifications, especially when there is a high-tech products or something electronics or like what you mentioned, that something that measures are important. So it has to be done. Pre-shipping. So
Yeah, absolutely.
but at the destination, if there is an issue, then it's it has been done, I think, by the insurance company. They have their own inspector. So
Yeah,
if there
for
is a
sure.
damage or.
For sure. Okay. Any other questions on international shipping in Incoterms? Okay, good. So now, as far as the pricing is concerned, Incoterms is one component. There's another component of pricing, and it's called HS code. When we looked at country database, we've touched on it a little bit. Again, HS code is the classification of all tangible products. Everything that is movable has the classification, and the products are differentiated for the purposes of customs exactly by HS code. So there's no such thing as standard tariff for all products, right? They are different. Could be 0%, could be 5, could be 8, could be 25 or whatever. No, nowadays they aren't that high. Like normally, like the world's average is like 5-6%. However, things happen, and if we, like recently, Canada experienced this duty, the countervailing duties and anti-dumping duties from the United States that would introduce the duties for example, softwood lumber. They did not ban all Canadian goods. They specifically banned, not banned, but they specifically introduced that high duty for softwood lumber for the specific HS code that represents softwood lumber. And all the sanctions, and usually all the sanctions go about specific HS codes. The classic example would be those Russian sanctions against Canadian food products. It doesn't mean that all Canadian food products are banned. Some of them are, some of them aren't. So you just have to look into, specifically into which codes are in the sanction list. Yes?
How do you determine which code is sanctioned and which code is not?
Either it depends on the country, because like if you're asking about Canada, if you're asking about any Canadian sanctions that Canadian government applies,
So
you can, you can.
if I'm exporting to a
Yes.
different country, let's say
Right.
for the US,
Mhm.
how do we know which code that they are sanctioning?
Good
Like
question.
Soft lumber.
Sure, yeah, good question. Every Minister of International Trade, you just have to find the American Minister of International Trade, which I believe is the Department of State, correct? They have those lists on their website. You have to just specifically look for them, and they have different lists for different countries. Like, in the US, for example, the US have sanctions against Cuba, quite like heavy sanctions, and if you're specifically looking for sanctions on Cuba, you can find it. I don't believe Canada has any sanctions for Cuba, but there's like North Korea and some other countries. Okay?
Venezuela.
Venezuela? Yeah, okay.
But I believe those sanctions are like the general sanctions. It doesn't go into the specific products that are sanctioned.
It depends on what they are trying to ban. I don't specifically know the case of Venezuela, but let's say if we take again like Russian sanctions, so the Canadian response was to buy, was to kind of restrict the purchase of the securities of certain, shares of certain corporations. It doesn't necessarily, they didn't necessarily ban the food products, right? But they introduced some kind of issues for, let's say, banks to borrow in Canada, like for example, Russian banks can borrow in Canada, or something like that. So it doesn't necessarily, one-to-one kind of sanction match. Anyways, yes, sanctions aren't nice. Hopefully, they will go away sooner than later. But the point is that the reason you need to, the primary reason why you need to know HS code is to identify the duty rate for your product. You identify the duty rate in the customs tariff document, or in some countries called customs code. It's basically a big, book of all the HS codes and the tariffs. So you can find the HS code, for example, this is example frozen veal. If you open the customs tariff, you will find this HS code, you will find the description that this HS code represents frozen veal, and you will find the duty rate in front, like in front of it. It could be 0, again, it could be whatever. Also, when we're talking about duties, it's important to know the country of origin of your product, and to know if the country of origin and destination have a free trade agreement. Because if they do, then it means that it's like 99% chance that there's 0 duty. Zero tariff, right? Now, with regards to the countries of origin and rules of origin, they may sometimes, there's a universal rule of origin, and there are rules of origin specific to the trade agreements, but the general rule of origin is that, like if the product was, let's say, harvested or gathered or grown in a certain country, it's the country of origin, or if the product was assembled or manufactured, and again, that's a rule of thumb. And the HS code of the manufactured or assembled product is different from the HS code of all the components and parts. Then it means that the country where this transformation happened is the country of origin. The example that I like the most, because that's the pretty difficult theoretical concept, but think about Nissan cars manufactured in Ontario. Are they Japanese cars? No?
That's on the content in the car, where it comes from.
No, there we can. No, there we can.
No, there's
Right.
the minimum, we say, part. It's a rule of origin.
Mhm.
If the merchandise are made in the country, it's considered by origin. But
Right.
It has to be more than 60% to be produced in the country to consider it.
Is that specific? Is that specific to automotive industry?
Yes.
Could be.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No. I mean, this is example. Is this example from automotive industry?
No, it's a common rule.
Common rule.
Yeah, origin.
Right.
Origin.
Yeah. Is it specific to any trade agreements, or because I can get two different data? Anyways.
It's for many kind of merchandise.
Okay. Anyway, what's the industry? Any kind of? Which one did you do? Yeah. Well, just an example.
Well, something like like a shampoo.
Right.
Okay. If the shampoo was made in Canada,
Mhm.
just mix it in Canada.
Mhm.
But it's the shampoo, the
Ingredients.
bottle was made in Mexico, but
Yeah.
the ingredient, some kind of ingredients was made in France, but only in Canada was mixed. It's not considered Canadian. It's considered France.
Great. That's interesting. Okay. Anyways, that's something that.
This is the last procedure.
Yeah,
It's
let's.
not considered
Sure.
origin.
Yeah, that's an interesting example. This kind of dealing with different data, but that's okay. That's what we're here for. I mean, I'm not claiming that, especially because you're the customs experience. I'm not going to argue, but yeah, the point is that the rules of origin are like important to know, and I trust you guys for doing it right, to defining it right. So that's another good point why to speak to the customs broker in advance.
Just a question, well, an opinion. You can see or you can find in the body of the NAFTA certificate, you can
Mhm.
find the how do you say? It's an column.
Yeah.
And the body of the
The-
NAFTA. You can find A, B, C, the kind of origin to be considered was made in some
I'm wondering though if your target country outside NAFTA it's not going to be NAFTA certificate, right? It will be the generic one, right?
Yes, right. You can find it in another kind of.
Okay, sorry. Okay, that's fine. We just got into too much detail, yeah.
But in the case of cars, for example,
Yeah.
Mexico now is producing a huge amount of cars,
Mm-hmm.
and the cars need to have components
Yeah,
built in Mexico.
right. And that's
Produced in Mexico.
Correct, correct.
Assembled in Mexico.
Correct,
But
yeah, yeah.
maybe a percentage of these components are coming from Japan.
Yes, yes,
In
yes,
the case of Nissan, for
Right.
example, or from Germany.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
These are cars made in Mexico
Mhm.
with Mexican components.
Correct, correct.
And the design could be Japanese,
Mhm.
but if this car is made in Japan
Right.
with components from Japan, it is different, right?
Sure.
It's the same car.
Right, right, right.
From the same company.
The point is that you're absolutely correct. So, I mean, the car is assembled even say Mexico. It may have Japanese components. It may have like components from Thailand or US and so forth. Automotive is a little bit more complex. To kind of get to the ground, I can use another example. Another of my favorite example is coffee. Apparently, Canada doesn't grow any coffee beans, but produces quite a lot of coffee. So if you buy the say coffee beans from Ivory Coast, roast them in Canada, process them here, right? It means that your roasted coffee's country of origin is Canada.
It's similar to how is the name of the enterprise who built the subway?
Bombardier.
Bombardier, many kinds of merchandise of Bombardier was from France, not from Canada. But it's in Canada, it's assembled.
Right, right.
And it's not considered Canada origin.
Yeah.
But one of the these things
So
you
what is
mentioned is cost. Cost is important when you
Sure.
bring products, you package here, for example. The cost is very important if the price is high.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
cannot sell.
Yeah, by the way, packaging does not impact the origin. That's important thing to understand. That if you are packaging product, then it doesn't. You agree? No.
No.
So it doesn't change the country.
It doesn't change, but it doesn't change the code, isn't it?
Well, you have the package is not considered
Right.
to the origin.
Right. Yeah. That's
Must be grown or this must be produced.
right.
There's a clause that